And welcome to episode 116 of Two Headed String Comics. Today we're going to be taking a look at Scott Pilgrim Volume 3. Very good. And we will also be having a segment depending on time. Depends on which one we're going to do. But go ahead and do all our social media stuff. That would really help us out. But yeah, we're going to get into the show now. And welcome to the best damn book club on the internet. My name's Ryan Talmadge. That's Davis Crocker. Today we've got some more Scott Pilgrim.
Woohoo!
Very fun. Volume 3. We'll have a segment later on. But first we're going to go ahead and start crediting some people.
Alrighty, so we've got colors by Nathan Fairbairn, design Keith Wood and Brian Lee O'Malley, cleanup and lettering remastered Troy Look, and editor James Lucas Jones.
I imagine writer would be James O'Malley or Brian Lee O'Malley.
Yeah, it was weird how like when you open it up, it doesn't actually like tell you the writer.
Oh,
It does do a buy.
I actually have it. I should have got it out of my bag beforehand. But as you can see on the front, it does say by Brian Lee O'Malley.
Yeah, there is a buy on the front. So, this fucking comic gets weirder and weirder each time I read this thing.
Yeah.
This one seemed to do a little more past jumping, like jumping back and forth in the past a little bit. Lost track a few times. I did have to do a few page recaps.
You really just can't handle time jumps, can you?
No, I really can't.
It's kind of sad.
It is because most comics have time jumps in them.
A lot of them have time jumps nowadays.
But once I figured it out, it was fine. But
yeah. So listening to myself while I was editing the episodes of Volume 1 and 2, and literally all I talked about was how it compared to the movie. I'm sorry, it annoyed the shit out of me too. But I'm about to do it again. I've officially gotten to the point where I think the book is better than the movie. And that ultimately proves that you should watch the movie then read the book. Because then you won't be disappointed by the movie. It's still a top 10 movie for me. But this deep dives into the Envy Scott relationship.
Yeah.
A million times more than the movie does.
Well, I would imagine because the movie's an hour and a half,
hour 45.
Yeah, so this you actually get to actually flush out some time and devote some pages to it.
Yeah, so all the movie tells you is that hey, Todd dated Ramona, and then Envy dated Scott, and that's kind of leave it at that, and then they fight. And Scott actually beats Todd in the fight, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's the movie though. This is legitimately, I'm enjoying a lot more because I am getting to dive deeper into characters, into the story, and stuff like that. So,
because you like you said, we really got to flush out characters in this.
Got a little bit of Kim. We got a little bit more Kim.
Yep.
A lot more of Scott and Envy.
Yep. Got even some Knives. I mean,
Knives.
Didn't really like
Knives had a lot of character growth in this one.
Yeah.
We see a little bit of character growth from Scott. He's
standing up for himself. Yeah. He's still a pansy like a motherfucker, but
yeah, he's still an asshole. But
I love the roommate. I love Scott's roommate.
Wallace.
He's just good.
Wallace is awesome.
Good comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I did like how Todd ended up being a bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of figured like all the boyfriends are going to end up being bad, but they kind of started out like, no, Envy chose him just to piss Scott off or piss somebody off, and it just happened to be Ramona's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Not the fact that, he's a fucking dickhead.
Todd's very much a fuckboy.
Yeah.
And like even to the point where like Envy didn't realize that like, oh, he punched the moon for me. What'd he do for you? And she was like, he punched the moon for me first.
Yeah. First one was mine.
Yeah. And he was literally telling her the same stuff that he tells every girl, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So all right. I did get so when he was dating Ramona,
mhm.
and he told her he was
weird,
leaving.
They told her they did this weird thing where like, Envy was like, no, we met when we were 11 and we've been together ever since.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, then you technically both been cheating on each other. So
right.
And it was kind of weird. That part was weird.
Like
not weird, funny, but like weird
just,
as in like
the story didn't seem to
awkward. Because if
continuity,
if you wouldn't be if you wouldn't be mad about him dating Ramona and then him not be mad about you dating Scott, then why are you mad about the drummer? I don't know.
Right. But. And then was it not the same story that Ramona told about Todd? About how they dated, then he left, went to training.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's when he punched the moon, or he came back, so he punched the moon for her because he loved her.
And then
is that not the exact same thing he told that Envy told?
Yeah, but I think it happened at different times. Like Envy made it sound like they were 11 when that happened, and then he moved from Montreal to I guess wherever Ramona was.
Yeah.
And then she moved, or no, they met in college, so I don't know. And then the same thing happened with Ramona, where that was him going to Vegan Academy.
Okay.
So.
All right. Yeah, that got a little.
Yeah.
Interestingly odd.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I like I said, I thought we were going to get no, Todd's actually a good guy. You now have to be the good guy because Envy's a bitch. Not
you have to be the bad guy because Envy's a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Scott now has to just beat up a good guy because Envy's a bitch and just pick this guy. No, he's a dick. So make Scott have it.
Well, I mean, the whole thing was like he's a vegan, which means he's pretty much better than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he started talking. And I'm like, oh no, this dude's a fuck boy. Like he's just a fucking dick. I liked how Envy is the one that beats him.
Yeah,
but like she's the one that takes him out.
It's not like that in this movie at all. But yeah, that's cool.
And Scott has an extra life.
So we get
to see Scott die.
That comes up later. And they actually, again, I'm doing it again. God damn it! In the movie, they don't address the drummer at all. The robot arm girl. Yeah, like she's not in it at all.
Okay,
like she's there in the room, standing in the corner, but like it's not addressed at all.
Like doesn't punch knives in the face.
Yeah, no. In the movie, Todd does.
Oh,
yeah.
Does it knock her? Does it knock her coloring out?
Yeah,
that was. I saw that. It was funny.
He does the line when he like shoved Envy. He's like, "What? I'm a rock star. I'm not afraid to hit a girl."
Yeah.
But yeah. No, like I said, just deep diving into the world, this crazy world, and these characters is a lot of fun. Yeah. So,
this definitely took a step forward.
Oh yeah.
Volume 2 was a touch. I mean, it was just kind of carrying on from the beginning, still trying to kind of figure things out. And this really said, "Okay, here we are. These are the characters' progressions. This is where we've been, where we are now," and got me back into wanting to read. Like I was kind of just like, all right, I'll read Volume 3. You want to do it? I'll do it. We'll do it. But
the real question is,
now I'm
did you catch? They said something. I don't know if you caught it.
Okay.
Ramona and Scott were kind of arguing a little bit, and he said something like, "Oh, I have to fight 5 more evil ex-boyfriends, blah, blah, blah." And she said, "Well, 5 evil exes, yeah."
Yeah.
You catch that?
Yeah. It was like, he said like 3 or 4 more, and she goes, or 5 or 6 more evils. Like, yeah. There was
not the number. He said boyfriends, she said exes.
Oh, no, I didn't. I thought the number discrepancy. I thought the number discrepancy was fucking up.
He said ex-boyfriends, she said exes.
Okay. Is there going to be a girl?
The next one's a girl.
Nice. Nice. I was kind of sitting here, I was like, okay.
Which now I'm curious to know what they're going to do with that, because in the movie, the back point of her knee being a weakness thing.
For Envy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That in the movie, they did that, as Ramona said, that's the weakness of the ex-girlfriend.
But they didn't do it to Envy?
Yeah.
So I guess they just probably moved it up.
Yeah, they moved that. One. They moved that to her
so that Scott could beat her.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I can't wait to read. Now we've gotten to the point where like, fuck, I have to wait a whole another month to read this. But yeah.
This is fun. I've enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah. Would you have ever picked this up if it wasn't for this show?
No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's been many things, and you and I've talked about it. It's like there's been many things we've read that I would have never thought about picking up. Mm-hmm. Like Invincible. I would have probably watched it on Amazon. Yeah. Never picked it up as a comic. Yeah. The Boy, same way. Probably never would have actually... I would have never read the comic. The comic's not great, but I never would have read it.
Yeah.
There's so much that we've read that.
And Invincible's getting to the point where I think we literally just talked about it. It's like, no, you watch it before you read it.
But my God,
I've
been itching so hard.
Now there is a comic called Radiant Black that we've literally kept pushing it back.
2 months we've pushed it back.
And everybody's saying that is very much like Invincible.
Might soothe the itch a little bit.
Yeah. Now, my favorite part of that is like, you know how people give quotes like, oh, this is a good book from so-and-so who wrote blah, 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 blah. There's a quote from the guy who wrote Invincible and Walking Dead. And it literally says, if you miss Invincible, read this. I was like, that's not necessarily a compliment. That's just saying. He's like, you miss
if you like my style.
If you like my writing, go read this. I was just like, I don't know if that should be if that's a compliment or not, or you just being snarky. But yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, been trying to work it in, folks. And now Davis is wanting to do a villain month next month.
It's October.
And I'm just like,
it's October.
You only do that because they do that on Valiant Comics. Variant Comics.
Yeah.
Makes October villain month because it's Halloween.
And
I don't know if you've ever read villain comic books. Most of them aren't great.
We have. There's one called Deathstroke that might literally be the shittiest comic we've read on this show.
Now you did say Black Adam. I don't know if there is a good Black Adam story yet. There is a Batman Joker team up story that I think is pretty good. And then we'd obviously have to keep Scott Pilgrim.
Of course.
As a continuous. If we find one more, I guess we'll go ahead and do Villain Month. Maybe. But you're pushing Radiant Black back another month. But yeah, next month might be Villain Month.
You.
But yeah.
But no, I did not catch he said boyfriend, she just said exes.
Yeah. Pretty funny though.
Yeah.
They also made a joke about like Ramona's hair because
the hair keeps changing.
Hair color changes all the time, and Scott does handle it well. And she says, Scott's like, is that even your natural hair color when it's purple?
Yeah.
And she said, I don't know, I haven't seen it forever. And then there's a little, because we've been reading the color edition.
Yeah.
She said this is a lot funnier when it was black and white.
Because the dark color would have just been black.
Yeah, and they would have been the same color the entire time. But yeah.
Now, he keeps making a big deal about having his hair cut and all this shit. And she finally, Ramona says, I'll cut your hair.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, they didn't redraw it. Yeah, they didn't redraw it to make it like a drastic hairstyle.
It's a point in this story, and it makes more sense in this than it did in the movie. But it's like, because when they're in college together,
he's got long
hair, and he said, just to be mean, she's like, you need to cut your hair, it's too shaggy.
And then he shows
up. And then he cuts his hair, and it looks horrible.
And then she tells him
he hasn't had a haircut since.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. That makes sense now. Because when he sees her again, she says, I never want to see you again. And that was his breakdown. And
yeah.
Gotcha.
It was all a mental thing from dating Envy. So.
Okay. Which he is definitely fucked up from that.
Yeah.
But cool.
Yeah. Let's see where we at.
I did have
probably do it. What?
Did you read any of the comics that came after Like at the end of this volume.
Did
you read that first one that still looked like the same animation?
I had not.
And drawing, not animation.
I had not because I knew we were in a hurry. So I was going to save that for later when I got home.
Okay, all right.
Did you?
I did. I didn't read
good?
the second one. It's weird.
Does it have to do with Scott Pilgrim?
Yeah. It's Scott. It's Scott, Ramona, and his roommate, Wallace. They're going to a movie, and I think it was just more of a play on how like Scott's just so undecided.
Yeah.
Like, he just can't make up his mind because they're sitting in a grocery store for like 15 minutes, and he can't figure out a drink
Can't make decisions
because it has like his like enhancements on the back, like speed, agility, awareness, stuff like that, and he's trying to figure out what he needs
playing
for the
into
next
the
few
video
days.
game thing.
Then they go down an alley. There's posters of this famous actress on it. She's like a hero, like fighting actress. She comes out of it. He beats him, and he gets coupons to get free drinks, only good for that day. So he bit like 8 of them. So he goes in the store, and now it jumps to like 45 minutes later, and he's having to pick 8 that are all, and he's like, oh yeah, they have to be complimentary. Like I can't drink 4 that give me like enhanced speed, and I can't pick up anything. It's like
not that hard, bro.
I was just sitting there like in my own head. I felt like Ramona and the roommate is just like, fucking kill me now. Just fucking kill me now. But it was funny. It didn't lead into shit, but it was just like, damn, bro.
And it's funny if you know people like that.
Can't think of anybody off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's somebody.
Hell, I'm sure it's me at some point.
I'm sure I've done the same thing.
Yeah. But yeah, no. I'm going to go read those later, but I was in a hurry to get here, so.
So, what do you want? You want your quiz? Or do you want to do shit list?
I think we've got enough time where we can do shit list and save the quiz for then.
Sounds good. Wrap that into the following week. See who owes who a comic.
Yeah. I'm still up 40.
You are.
Yeah.
God forbid if you. See, I should have held on to the big omnibus.
Yeah.
Because then if you won,
you should have bought me some
on top
cheap for my
of, then I've been
birthday.
like, eh.
Yeah.
But, all right, you want to hit shit list?
Sure. You're going first, though.
Well, alrighty.
I remembered mine. But yeah.
Well, I got.
I'll go first.
So if anybody's been paying attention, I mean, I know now we're recording this the weekend of Labor Day. It's going to come out 3rd Tuesday of September. If anybody's been paying attention since before Labor Day, Discovery, who owns Warner Brothers, and
just bought Warner Brothers.
Just bought them, and God knows how many other entities under it, kind of like Disney's flag.
GC Comics is one of them.
They're clearing house. They've already canceled Batwoman. That Batwoman had already spent $90 million on. Batgirl, who already spent $90 million on. And other projects that have been going on under the Warner Brother DC mantle. Mm-hmm. And it's come to light that they're doing this as a tax write-off / moneymaker.
Yeah, they are
just trying to recoup losses to then focus on a few things to try to make money later.
Yeah. No, they spent a shit ton of money buying Warner Brothers. And I'm pretty sure Discovery is a publicly owned company, and so they're like, well, we have, for our stockholders, we have to recoup the money we just spent. And so one way they found to do that was in tax write-offs to get money back. That means stuff like Batgirl, who their company line was, it was not meeting the standards that we want DC movies to meet going forward. But what it really means is they get to write it off on their taxes as a $90 million loss.
Right.
Which means that lowers their taxable income, in turn saving more money on taxes. Right. But a part of that is, that means that project can literally never see the light of day.
Right.
They can make another Batgirl movie. They can make another Batgirl movie with that actress, but they cannot show that particular Bat movie.
Right.
It can never get out. They can never make any type of money off of it.
Scott Snyder.
There's no chance of a
whatever
Snyder cut
there you go,
or anything like that. It can never see the light of day. And in fact, the rumor is that the first off, from what I've heard or like saw on the internet, is that before they deleted it, people at the Warner Brothers studios started holding like secret showings that for the people who worked on it.
Yeah.
And then about a couple days later, the directors and all the people who worked on it went to try to go, they have like a cloud storage thing.
Yeah.
And they wanted to like download a copy of it. That way they could keep, because they've
still spent. I mean, it's been in the works for what, 2 years. They've been talking about they started.
Yeah,
maybe a year and a half.
They spent a lot of time working on this, and they tried to
go $90
million.
I mean, shit.
Download it, get a copy for themselves. Just as like, hey, I worked on this.
Yeah.
And Discovery had already completely deleted it all from their iCloud.
Well, you have
to.
If
there was never a chance of it getting out.
Right, because if the second it gets out, then Discovery now owes
$90 million
in taxes,
yeah.
or whatever the tax write-off equates to. They then owe that back.
So the directors couldn't even get in there and get their work. It's already gone. So
wow.
Yeah.
This reminds me of...
And it's not just Batgirl. They've cut a lot of stuff. Like, there's a lot of HBO original shows.
Yep.
I don't think
Watchmen's coming.
Not even getting canceled. They've like taken it off HBO Max.
Really?
Like a lot of the HBO Max original, not like HBO the channel with Game of Thrones and Watchmen and all that.
Yeah.
The stuff that was literally only coming onto the app, they've cut a lot of that.
But see, that doesn't like to permanently get rid of it, or just try to sell it to somebody else.
I'm not sure. It's kind of weird because it's like, well,
because
it was already
out,
on
and
the
that
app.
Is your stuff. It's
I don't know, but
for it to be on there would make you something, if not what you thought it would.
You would think, but I saw someone tweeted it was like people logging into HBO Max today, and it was like all the people like dusting in Infinity War.
Fuck.
But one of the things that got canceled that I was really working in or like looking forward to was one of the guys who originally did like all the DC animated shows like Adventures of Batman, Superman.
Yeah.
It's Tim. I'll keep wanting to say Tim Burton, but it's not him.
No.
It's Tim something that starts with a B, but he literally did the Batman animated series, Superman animated series, and the Justice League that we grew up watching. And it was going to be him, Matt Reeves, who just did the most recent Batman movie. They were working on an animated Batman show for HBO Max
to carry on like the original animated Batman show, like the one from the 90s, right? It was to carry that one on, right?
I don't know if it was going to carry that one on or if it was just going to be something new, but it was going to be. Yeah, they canceled it. And the guy who does Fat Man Beyond with Kevin Smith and wrote A Door in the Distance.
Yep.
Since it got canceled, he was allowed to talk about it. He's like, yeah, I wrote. I was one of the he was in the writing room and was tasked with writing an episode of that show, and so now we won't ever get to see it.
Wow. And see, this reminds me of a few years ago when Warner was trying to cut money, and it was, I think, AT&T had just bought them. Somebody had just bought Warner, like a few years, like probably been 5-6 years ago.
AT&T.
And I remember them coming in, and they canceled the DC comic verse. Like, how they had their own
the
platform.
DC universe, like. I think it was
like all the animated shows and comics.
It was like a streaming site along with like you could read all the comics and stuff like that.
And knowing now what we know is because of they knew HBO Max was
putting
coming,
it all into HBO Max.
so they had to cancel it so they could put it on there. But at the time they were also talking about cutting different projects. They cut Swamp Thing. They cut a bunch of comic runs. It was like trying to cut as much as they could to make money.
And here we are, Universe exclusive comics.
Here we are, X years later, doing the same thing again.
Yeah, and apparently
Warner is doing the same thing again with just a new head boss.
And rumor is
trying to figure out what the fuck to do.
Yeah, and rumor is they've already contacted DC Comics and was like, "Do y'all have any way to like show the number of sales and advertise like?" what books are making the most money month to month?
Right.
Like, do y'all have those records? And they're like, yeah, we have that dating all the way back to
the
like
first
the
issue.
60s,
Yeah.
all the way back to the 60s, and said, okay, we'll be there within like 2 hours. Can you get it for us for the past 10 years? Month to month sales. And so
They're about to cut more comics out.
yeah, they're about to, I think.
So it's again, it's just
and
like
then
what
they
AT&T did. They cut off like all your like
Yeah.
Harley Quinn spinoffs, your Jason Todd. Like they cut
Yeah.
off all the extra shit.
And apparently.
And then it grew again, and now they're about to trim more off.
And apparently they're like, they want to know not only titles, they want to know authors. And so they're going
Which author's the best
authors
author,
and
so then
artists.
They're gonna task them with new projects
And again, I don't like to get into the whole political side of comic books, especially on YouTube and Twitter. But a lot of the Comicsgate people were like, "Oh, coming for all those super lib writers that don't actually sell books.
They just make a PC comic."
Yeah, and that sells 0 books. They're coming to cancel all their stuff. And but they also just approved a lot of comics that, oh, hey, it's Jim Lee, Greg, or Jeff Johns.
Yeah.
They're going back and apparently are willing to go get proven, or they're
Your
not,
OGs.
they're proven artists because they know they will sell. And it looks like a lot of people they gave chances to are about to run out of chances.
See,
Which I guess could be, depending on how you look at it, could be a positive and negative. Like,
but my thing is,
my thing is like, more jobs in comics is better for comics. Now, granted, because then people get to work on their craft.
Then they become better.
Maybe I don't like it, but someone might.
In 10 years, this might be the new style everybody likes, and I'm a proven artist or writer or something.
But at the same time, I am a believer in capitalism, and market must meet, or demand must meet.
All that stuff. You can't just have 1,000 people making shit and you make $1,000.
Yeah, it's like,
that means everybody gets a buck, and nobody makes anything.
Eventually, you're gonna have to sell books, and you can't just blame the person of a different political belief.
Right, I do agree with
like
that.
So.
What I think is insane about this is the fact that this is literally just did this within the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Shit, maybe within the last 5. I don't remember when AT&T bought them, but you're talking about in the last 10 years, Warner Brother has already had to do this once.
Well,
now doing it again.
I want to say back when AT&T was the thing, it was a rumor that they were going to, like, maybe AT&T doesn't actually want to deal with comic books.
Yeah,
maybe
I remember that being the discussion.
Put DC and its properties up for sale.
Right.
And then everybody was like, holy shit, is Marvel going to buy DC?
Ooh, God, thank God that didn't happen.
It would be wild. But
what I just...
But then it would almost be legit a monopoly.
So. Oh, yeah. But what is also crazy is how, yes, Marvel capitalized on the Iron Man, Captain America, Thor's. They got they got a good firm grasp on what to do.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious how Warner Brothers just cannot find their foothold. Like they did another news piece that came out from last episode of Fat Man Beyond listened to. They have found a guy to be their Kevin Feige. I forget his name. Okay.
But he has worked on superhero projects in the past, including especially movies and stuff like that. But they have found a guy. They are picking him to be like, hey, be our producer. Put us on a path. Now, it's going to suck because he doesn't get a fresh start like Kevin Feige.
Right. He now has to
pick up in the middle.
Pick up where the bullshit has been dropped in his lap.
Yeah, and the movie that was supposed to be his reset movie,
The Flash,
might not. We don't know how or if or when they will be able to.
They're currently already said Ezra Miller will never come back.
Yeah.
We will not work with him again, which means it also fucks up Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
Though they could have just
killed him at the end. I thought that trilogy was done.
They wanted 5 movies in that. They wanted 5 or 6 movies out of that Dumbledore Fantastic Beasts series.
Oh.
And now everybody's like, watch the most recent Secrets of Dumbledore, and everybody's like, You could just stop now.
Really?
You could just.
Was it bad?
It wasn't good. I mean,
we
waited like 4 years for it, 4 or 5 years for it, and it just.
The messed up part is
it was just like, here it is.
The messed up part is they got rid of Johnny Depp because of what Amber Heard said. Now
Amber Heard's out, motherfucker.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But so now, I mean, now you're sitting there with the Flash movie that was supposed to come out next summer.
Yeah.
And you don't even know if you're going to use the current Flash you have or have to reshoot everything.
Yeah. So yeah, fun times.
And Marvel's just sitting there with 8 more shows coming out, 2 Star Wars shows coming out this month. It just...
I think Andor will be better because there's not characters that they can fuck up.
I think so. I mean, you can literally sit there and go... you can't kill off Andor. There's a few that you can't kill off, but the rest are like free game.
Yeah.
Kill them, destroy them, lose them, turn them evil, whatever you want to do with them.
Yeah.
So...
but that was a good shit list.
It was a good
shit
shit
list. A lot of time on there.
I mean, I guess yours just was the same kind of shit.
I wish mine. I should have gone first because it's gonna be hard to follow. Mine was me.
Well, I mean, if you want, I was gonna say if you just wanted to end it and it just be the shit list.
No, mine was me because I was trying to be a good house guest and took the sheets off the bed and was trying to move the doggy gate with my foot. And then went to shuffle by so I could take the sheets to the laundry room, and I tripped and rolled my ankle. And I've rolled my ankle enough times to where like the pain's already not really bothering me, but the lack of range of motion is uncomfortable right now.
Concerning.
And like if that hurt. Okay. So yeah, I'm an idiot. So.
Getting old, and then watching a bunch of 22-year-olds beat the shit out of each other this weekend, and think about how we weren't far removed from that. Didn't help.
Nope. And we're not talking about UFC. We're talking about football.
Yeah,
so.
football.
But yeah. Next week we're dipping back into the manga.
Woohoo!
My Hero Academia, Volume 1.
Let's go.
And then we will have a quiz. Not sure what the category will be for me, but Davis is going to quiz me on something. And hopefully I can work towards that Omnibus Volume 2.
Yeah.
But we'll get there and we'll see. But yeah, we'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.